Hello there.
Hello. Welcome to the 106th episode of Unifying Force. We are here to finally talk about Vision Season 3, which we've been teasing for a couple months now.
We have, just one thing after another is all of the things. Well, we're here. Gio will be joining us very shortly. He's wrapping up a few things and winging his way to us. But yeah, before we actually dip into visions, is what's the news? What's the happenings? What's going on in the world in the week this week there, Kat?
Uh, I've been having a kind of a quiet week. Um, Not subjected to any type of snowmageddon.
Yes,
I did get out to see the extended cuts of the first two Lord of the Rings movies. I'll be seeing the third one on Tuesday night. Uh,
excellent.
Great to see those on a big screen again. They just look magnificent. Uh, how about you, Dave? What's up?
So over here we are in the midst of the snowmageddon right here, central North Carolina. Uh, so far it has thankfully been much less than forecast. Um, I was, just out this morning right before broadcast is braving the roads because livestock knows no weather. Is they got to eat no matter what. So we were out feeding the cows and the goats, and it's slippy, folks. Stay off the roads if you can. But so thankful so far that we still have power, we still have internet, we're still here to do the show, and we can keep that going. So
Nice.
indeed. But yeah, you're right. Is kind of a slow week. Is I'm taking the opportunity to catch up on some of the shows and stuff that had gotten a little behind on, of watching a little bit of the pit.
Mhm.
I found another show that was kind of similar to it called Code Black that I'm liking so far, at least in the first part of it, and catching up on some of those Oscar nominated films that will hopefully in a future show be able to talk a little bit more about and get going. So that's the kind of thing. What's going on with you, Gio? You're on mute, sir. We cannot hear you.
Sorry,
There you
had to trying to recover from being a bit under the weather here, but otherwise all good.
Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the topic since we're all here now, and we can just kind of get over to the thing. Oh no. I hate it when this happens.
I'm in the center. I don't want the spotlight.
We'll get everything fixed up here shortly. And there we kind of are getting better. But yeah, is Star Wars Visions. We've got, we're 3 seasons in now. We'll just do a quick review of uh 1 and 2, and then really kind of deep dive to the episodes for 3. And so let's talk about what are your recollections, Gio, of season 1 there.
Of season 1.
Yes. Just overall general.
Yeah, this I really enjoyed season 1. I felt like it was finally Lucasfilm under Disney direction doing what I think they always wanted to do and what many of us hoped they would do, which is continue expanding the universe, telling new stories set under the Star Wars banner in the galaxy we know and love far away, but give a chance for new voices, new creators, with different experiences and different cultural traditions, to invest themselves in Star Wars and to create their own stories. And I think it did really well. The only issue I think with Visions is if you aren't familiar with anime and you come to it expecting the Star Wars that you've seen on the big screen in the main saga, it'll take quite a bit of adjustment. And if you don't like the animation style, either because it's 2D or either because it's very Japanimation style for some of them, of the 9 episodes, I think maybe 2 of them are cinematic enough where you can overcome that. And those 2 happen to be the ones that I felt were the most Studio Ghibli feeling, or the most Walt Disney feeling, the most Star Wars feeling. And those 2 episodes were my favorites. And that was The Ronin, so the very first episode of
Yeah.
season 1, which was like a black and white painting. And then The Ninth Jedi, which I think was the 5th episode of season 1. Both of them told stories that are to do with Jedi and Sith, but there's no connection to Vader or the Emperor or the Skywalkers or anything like that. And it's better off for it because it's just an entirely separate standalone story. And I think that's what loads of us loved. And it's what we want to see more on screen as Star Wars returns to the big screen as well.
I think so. I think Visions really kind of, season 1 kind of set a pace in there, and it was really nice to see different things. And you're right, it's like not every episode is going to be everybody's cup of tea. Is even the ones that you said that you liked, that I did as well, but some just other people aren't going to like. The Ronin is not going to be everybody's taste. They're not just going to go, it's like, nah, this is not my Star Wars or whatever. But then some others are going to be, the Pokemon style episodes. There were ones that were very much animated in the style of the original Pokemon that I think, other people are going to enjoy. Just as good animated shows, as opposed to it having to be Star Wars. It's expanding and changing, and just seeing a different culture's interpretation of the lore is really neat. And then that, of course, brings us to season 2, where they doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on that idea of seeing another culture's take on the lore. Season 1 was very largely Japanese animation studios. I think there was it 1 or 2 others in there, but largely animation studios.
Yeah, I think it was 8 of 9 were Japan, and maybe 1 was from Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah. And then season 2, see, Skip's going like it's too off the wall for me. It's just too different. And some of them are, and some of them aren't. Is if you go through, and if you didn't like season 1, I encourage you to still go and at least check out pieces and parts of season 2. Season 2 got some very cool stuff. Yeah, it is that some of it is cool, some of it is very less Star Wars than others. Some of it has a lot more, and some of it is basically like a Japanese story, but with lightsabers. But 2, wow. I mean, the episode that was based on the Book of Kells, from the Irish studio, was amazing. It was very down the road, not so much the Star Wars, but it had enough of that Star Wars in there, and enough of the Irish legend that I thought it was superb.
I think it was stellar. I think it was haunting. I think it was mysterious. I think it was magical. It gave me the kind of feeling when the first time I watched, I don't know if this relates directly to, I guess, the feeling of a child losing your innocence and going into a level of terrifying experience. Stand By Me. The fact that you've got some innocence lost when you discover something that turns out to be horrible. Although the great thing with this episode is, and the whole of season 2 actually are really interesting in that they kind of unleashed the cultural diversity fully, because they had more international animation studios, but a lot of them explored how the blur or the dichotomy between right and wrong isn't black and white at all. And there are aspects of huge similarity between the Jedi and the Sith, and yet one is still markedly worse than the other. And I think a lot of the episodes return to that theme a lot in season 2, and the episode we're talking about especially did a really good job of broadening the horizons a lot more.
Well,
And yeah, I think it'd be a really good one to show children, just as a little moral episode, not even a Star Wars thing.
Well, I think the thing is a lot of these go beyond George's interpretation of Star Wars, which was literally from a movie Serial, where there's very clearly defined when he began Star Wars. Is as the movies progressed and other people put their hands in it, it changed a little bit. But the original concept of how much good is good, bad is bad. Here's the evil. Here's the good. There's the white hats, the black hats. There you go. You know, but that was the foundation that he was coming from. That he grew the media that he grew up on, and he was emulating and putting a lot of that into his work. Whereas these are all international people, and they didn't grow up with necessarily those same serials. They didn't grow up with the movie westerns. And it's a different thing. It's a different interpretation. Another one of these that I enjoyed was The Pit. The Pit was not necessarily super Star Warsy, but it was another one of those like really kind of moral lesson ones, and the interpretation. I thought season 2 went great to just like pick a little bit of lore and then tell this story.
Yeah. Can you remember? I was trying to reflect on this because I haven't watched it since it came out in 2023. But The Pit, was that an American studio?
I don't think so. I don't think there were any American studios in here. I'll see if I
'Cause I
can look
remember-
it up. But I was
yeah,
pretty
the
sure that those were all international studios.
Yeah. Or maybe they have an American accent in there. Maybe it's Canadian. Or I could be offending hundreds of people around the world now. I remember the last one, Owl's Song, is South African. That's the one that has the cotton style, amazingly distinctive visuals. And I remember the Spy Dancer is the French colonial one, which was about an acrobatic dancer who may or may not be a spy for the rebellion while entertaining imperial colonial officers no longer on guard duty. And that was very terrifically French, if we can say that, in its feeling, in the way that it was just portrayed, and also in the animation style. Some places beyond the US and Japan do have enough animation and enough consistency to it to where you could almost say it's a kind of national animation style.
Mhm.
And I've seen a couple of French projects, and I do feel like they do have a particular animated look about them in their 2D artistic offerings. And the Spy Dancer definitely felt very French stylized
Oh, very
animation.
much. It gave you allusions to French artwork. Toulouse-Lautrec, La Moulin Rouge is very much alluded to that kind of style, which is historically, for an art major, when you think of French artists, that's the kind of thing that you're thinking towards. But okay, so The Pit is Visions Volume 2, created by Tokyo-based animation studio Dart SHTAGIO. I'm not sure. And of course, it says it's in collaboration with Lucasfilm Limited. So I don't know if maybe the Americanness that you're feeling, maybe there was a heavier collaboration with Lucasfilm for this one than maybe there was for some of the others. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be that I think they all have American accents in them, which is why I couldn't remember specifically which country it came from. Whereas for most of the more international ones, for example, one of my favorites from Vision Season 2 is the opening one called Sith. And that's a Spanish house, I think, based in Madrid. And the protagonist has a Spanish accent, and the antagonist has a Spanish accent, and it's very clear. And then similarly with the Irish one we mentioned, again, localized accents. So I think the fact that it had American accents made me think, oh, it might be American, but really it's probably just the American dubbing. And originally
possibly, yes, that was an American dub of that, because there are, if you look through the credits for a lot of these, there are tons of different voice actors for different countries, as these were internationally released. But yeah, is I love season 2. I think I like season 2 even somewhat more than season 1, at least some of the episodes. But then that brings us season 3, man. Season 3, we got like 9 episodes.
Mhm.
And back to the Japanese studios.
Mhm.
And some sequels we got some brand new stuff, and then we got some sequels to well, I won't necessarily say sequels, and we'll get to it as we get there, but follow-ups or something from the same
Mhm.
studio using the same characters. I don't know that they were necessarily direct sequels because you didn't have to see the first one to get the second one.
Thankfully, I think that's the best. A sequel is at its best, in my opinion, when that is the case.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any piece of art should require the human experiencing it to know anything else beyond what's in their head and in their lived experience up until that point. Because you already have all the stuff in you that you need to be able to enjoy, to laugh or cry, or shout or scream, whatever emotions you may or may not feel when you're watching a film, listening to some music, reading a book, standing in a gallery looking at a painting. Shouldn't need any other context apart from the context that is your life. And so a good sequel to me ideally is standalone.
All right, now let me ask you a left field question though.
Mm-hmm.
Does Star Wars live up to that? Could you come in having not seen a Star Wars, and could you watch Empire and get it?
Yeah, I think you could. I think you'd. Yeah, I think you could because I had watched the Star Wars films on videotape, VHS, and not the released ones, but when we had VCRs and we could record TV and it was all
Yeah.
okay to do that. And so I didn't actually see A New Hope from beginning to end in its full format as a 3 or 4-year-old before
Mhm.
seeing Empire in its full format beginning to end. And yes, I was very young, but I did not feel like A New Hope had anything in it that made The Empire Strikes Back require it to be the first thing that you see. I think that if you are on and now I speak as an adult, if you're on board with the idea of there being a space western, high fantasy, galaxy far, far away, good and evil in broad strokes, then you can very quickly settle and understand what's going on. The only thing that I think, well, I think this would add to the confusion. Maybe the sequel part helps make this feel less weird, is when Luke and Leia kiss in Empire, because then you might be like, oh, they kind of had a will they, won't they, kind of not quite, wasn't really
Yeah.
developed at all. But everything else, I think, is works fine. And I think the best sequels, we've talked about this in an explicit whole discussion show about the best sequels or our favorite sequels. And the ones that we mentioned and the ones that frequently get touted in this area and often are the critically most acclaimed, highest reviewed on average: Aliens, The Empire Strikes Back,
Absolutely.
Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Any of those films you could enjoy, I think, 10 out of 10 enjoyment experience level, and you do not have to have seen Alien or The Terminator, or the Star Wars.
Now you obviously get more out of it if you have. Speaking of Wrath of Khan, you get way more if you'd
you
seen
get
the
the
episode
whole,
of the original
yeah.
series. You didn't need to see Star Trek 1. Nobody needs to see Star Trek the movie. Nobody.
Remove that. Star Trek
Nobody
2 is
needs
not.
to see that. But
The
if
Wrath
you
of
had
Khan's
seen
not a
the
sequel.
episode of
It's
the
the OG.
original series, if you had seen Space Seed, you got more out of Wrath of Khan. But they built in enough of the backstory that you didn't, that you could. It wasn't standalone. And I agree that I think these episodes that are sequels, follow-ups, whatever, of those in Vision season 3 are there. So if you guys haven't watched season 1 or season 2, feel free that you could just go into season 3 and you're fine. This is not one of those things where you have to go back and go episode by episode. Nope.
Yeah. I'll just add to that, actually. So also The Godfather, I think The Godfather Part 2 is the best of the Godfather films.
Mm,
And I think you can enjoy The Godfather Part 2 having no idea who anyone is at the beginning of the film. You do not need to have seen The Godfather, in my opinion, to enjoy The Godfather Part 2 for like 90% of everything that it gives you. And I think, again, it's exactly the same as the sequels we mentioned in that sense.
yeah. All right, so here we go. This is that's only 8 of the 9 episodes on this screen, but here we go. Number 1, The Duel Payback. So here is the official episode guide for this one. With the help of some unexpected allies, Ronin faces off against his greatest foe, a twisted Jedi known as the Grand Master, who is bent on revenge. I think I don't know that summary gives everything that you need to know about this, but I thought this had some really cool, interesting concepts in it. It's like we've got a bar on the back end of an old AT-AT. So all kinds of severe craziness, a lot of tropes and things, a lot of lightsabery, the fun kind of making fun of the trope of the Kylo Ren kind of Swiss Army knife lightsaber. By the time you get into it, it's just like it's a fun episode. I think this one's a little less serious than the original Ronin one.
I think because there's more talking in it and there's more color in it, and it's a longer runtime, it reveals itself to not be the somber, serious thing that the first one was as much. But I think it's because of those 3 additional things.
Yeah. Yeah,
I still feel like it's a very much in line with the original in kind of themes and the general vibe, the feeling of it. But yeah, I think the first one is very it's very terse. There's very little dialogue. It's very much a Western samurai story, whereas this one it has more of a chance to lean into Star Wars story and lore wise, but also tropes wise before doing its own version of them. And I think it's stronger as a Star Wars story because it can do that.
I think I see it. It's a little bit of fun, not necessarily practical with the lightsaber things. Is that they put the lightsaber in a sheath, like this a little bit. They didn't quite treat it as a lightsaber. It's more of a katana. Yeah, and I'm sure there are people that will dislike that, but I was like, I
mean, a light katana.
If you've got the technology to make a laser sword, you have the technology to have some sort of holster sheath that it'll fit into potentially. So, yeah, that part didn't bother me. I think the craziness of the characters are like, oh no, you ruined my space bar.
Yeah, I think it's really inventive. Visually, it's really inventive, and in story, the fact that you've got the AT-ATs together for the bar is cool.
Yeah.
You've got Ewoks doing some good stuff on screen, which is always nice to see better justice and representation for our Ewok friends. And they have a purpose. They're a key part to the battle. But I think there's the pencil shaded black and white, mostly black and white style coloring and animation. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this earlier in the week because somebody that I know discovered that there's a black and white version of the film Parasite. Because it's Oscar season, lots of people are talking about the big Academy Award-winning films of the last 10 years, especially ones that have won either lots of awards or been nominated many times, because we'll probably talk about things like Sinners after we finish this. But there are often directors who, as they're shooting something, secretly do like their own director's black and white version of a film that only one colorist knows who does it on the side, and then it comes out as like a Blu-ray extra. And
Wasn't that
actually
like
have.
the Snyder Cut? Wasn't there a black and white version of that at some
I
point?
think there were. I think there's a black and white version of every single Snyder and Rodriguez film. So there's a version of Sin City that is entirely black and white, even though there's only about 3 colors in Sin City.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the point of that one personally, but there is a version of Parasite that's black and white, and it actually looks quite good. And I'm the person who used to, at least growing up, I'd be like, black and white, that sucks. As soon as color TV came in, why would anyone go back to black and white? But I do understand the value of it visually and in terms of photography and in terms of film. I haven't got the largest 4K collection. Got a couple of steelbooks,
Yeah.
but I do have Logan on 4K in a nice steelbook, and it comes with, and I haven't watched it yet, so that's my fault. It comes with an on-disc black and white version of the film, and I think Logan probably looks very good as a black and white.
I didn't know such a thing existed, but I need to go look for that now because that probably is.
When you guys come down to London, we'll do a little private
Sweet.
screening of black
All
and white
right,
Logan.
Song of the Four Wings.
Yep.
I liked this one too. This might almost be my favorite of these.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It was
I
cute.
thought
It was nice.
really some of the. I mean, we spent weeks and weeks going up to, and we won't delve into it a lot about the history of anime and a lot of our favorite animes and things. So there's two whole other episodes that you guys should go check out of the Unifying Force that talk about that. But in the Song of the Four Wings, all right, here's the official description. A princess turned rebel protects a child from the might of the Empire on a snowbound planet. I thought this was the deepest Star Wars lore heavy episode that there was. And maybe it's my headcanon and maybe it's I'm reading in. I thought that little critter, not necessarily a child, I think it's a hoojib, right? I think this is like a deep dive episode on the original Marvel comic.
Okay.
That these little rabbity looking creatures called hoojibs, where Princess Leia journeys to their world and they're fighting a thing, and she ends up protecting the hoojibs, and the hoojibs are there, and it's and I really enjoyed this. Is she's sticking around with her old droid. And, you know, they're not the smartest people in the world because, oh, there's a giant mining, whatever. We're going straight at it on our speeder. Oh, surely they don't see us.
Yeah.
But this is a very kind of classic, I think, Robotech anime style, which is it's a like the original Voltron, Robotech, that the Star Blazers. All my favorite original anime styles is kind of what this is. And while it's a wildly, vastly different interpretation on Princess Leia, that's kind of what you got. Her protecting the hoojib, her using the old style R2 unit and refusing to upgrade. But then it gets cool and it turns into the Robotech style X-Wing fighter armor.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how anime is that? That
yeah. The most anime.
That is just all of those things
anime
rolled into one.
It was. They were doing the anime bingo card, the anime highlights. They were doing the anime checklist. They were ticking everything off in every color of the rainbow. They had it all. I was really impressed by this episode, and I thought so I actually watched, because we've been intending to do this full analysis for nearly 2 months. We've had some really great shows talking about Japanese culture and anime and its impact, and it's been actually really fun talking about that in depth. But so I had a huge gap in watching Visions Volume 3, where I saw the Ronin sequel first. And I sat on that, and it's, I think, 20 minutes. A lot of these episodes are closer to 20 minutes rather than 10 minutes. So the overall season's a bit longer than Volumes 1 and 2. But I thought that nothing would touch the Ronin sequel, because I loved the Ronin sequel. It's 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks passed, and I started watching the rest of Visions Volume 3. And I sat down with this one first, and I was thinking, okay, so it's going to be like a palate cleanser, colorful anime, wide-eyed protagonist, kind of
Mhm.
does remind me of Misty from Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I thought, let's give this a go. And just her, the mannerisms, the character, is just, to me, it feels like the very best of anime. And the very best of anime, I think, is Studio Ghibli. And we talked about why. Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki has created this incredible body of work that I think should be studied for generations to come, and even right now, because he writes organic young female characters in a very legitimate and heartfelt way. He doesn't play down or have anything silly. He doesn't infantilize any characters, even if they're under the age of 10. And I think the girl here is probably early teens. I'm not sure.
More than likely, that's well, more than
Yeah,
likely when you get into the stereotyping of Japanese anime is the vast majority of girls in any of them are like, early to mid teens.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And
But
you get that feeling. But I will argue with you that I think there was another one that felt way more like Studio Ghibli than
oh,
this
it's
one.
coming up. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's coming up. Don't
Yeah.
worry. We know which one that is.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. And I think that one feels like Studio Ghibli could have actually made it
Yeah.
visually in terms of the performance of dialogue, in terms of the use of sound and music. This
Yeah.
one feels like Studio Ghibli because it reminds me of the 1980s version of Studio Ghibli, which was more Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind, which I think is the first all-time great project that Hayao Miyazaki made. Came out in 1984, and you've got a young girl who unites nature against the industrialized capitalist kind of industrialized corporal machine. Like the industry's it's like big industry, it's really bad, it's tearing up the land, it's ruining nature, it's uprooting the forests, it's displacing all the biodiversity, and she stands with the animals and plants against man and man's corporate greed and
Burning Valley,
industrialization.
the last rainforest.
Yeah. And this feels like it. And not just because the girl ends up flying and being a superhero at the end of it, but that's also in common.
Yeah.
But it's because there's a young female character, and she's not infantilized. She's also not and I feel horrible and like there's an actual distaste in my mouth saying it, but the female character is not fetishized. And
Yes.
that's something important that we have to say. And that's one reason why I stand
Sailor
firmly.
Moon.
Yeah, I stand. I mean, Death Note. I mean, almost every anime that has a teenage boy main character has a teenage girl love interest that is infantilized and often fetishized, and and then trivialized in that order.
Yes.
And that is like the most demeaning, misogynistic way of portraying women of any age. But when you portray women who aren't women, they're girls, they're under 18, and your story continuously tells people this is a teenage girl who is in a high school. I'm
Well,
going to
and
continue.
this one does not do that, and
It
kind
does
of
not do that. That's why we love it.
yes, and it overemphasizes where she is treated a little bit like she's a child by the commander, whatever person relation that is to her, but she's just like, no, I'm in charge. I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah,
Thanks for the recommendation. Not so much.
Yeah, this could have been Princess Leia, during Rebels.
Yeah.
This could have been her. And that's, I think, testament to how good a story it is.
It is.
Yeah, she's a strong, willful, resourceful, intelligent young female character. She has her own agency. Initially, she's kind of talked down to, but she goes through adversity. She overcomes through resilience and through, yes, using her friends. And it has all the little moral lessons that are good and that you like to see portrayed in art and given to younger generations who might need it now more than ever. And it does all of that, but it does it in a subtle, discreet way where enjoying what you're seeing and hearing is the main thing. And any kind of moral lesson just happens to be transmitted through the art as you're experiencing it. But you're not beaten over the head with messaging.
No, it's not like 1980s G.I. Joe where they come on and literally give you the moral at the end of it. And no, wait, it's half the bad. Yeah. But here we go. Like the next one. This is the other one that's getting a sequel, right? That's getting its own show. I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if have they commissioned them to have an entire season
I
follow-up?
thought that I had heard initially that we will
It was
get more of the
the Ninth
Ronin
and the
and
Ninth
we will
Jedi.
get more of the Ninth Jedi.
That makes sense, and I hope we do, because I feel like both of them felt like middle episodes, or not the conclusion. To their detriment, maybe, but I didn't mind that at all because I thought they both stood alone very, very well. I will admit that the Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope, I mean, it is a sequel, but it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning. More of a spiritual sequel. It doesn't feel like a direct sequel to the Ninth Jedi story, because the Ninth Jedi story had, I would say, her storyline was like the B plot. The
Hmm.
A plot was about the Ninth Jedi, and that's the plot that hooked me a lot more and made that episode stand out from season one as one of the best. But this is a good episode as well. What did you think of it? What were your impressions?
So, I yeah, is it? It didn't feel like a complete and total story. It's an episode of a serial. Is like, okay, this is okay. Left Behind in the space. It's trope heavy. It's trope
Mhm.
heavy. Okay, here's the servant that happens to be a droid at this point who's trying to do the best for their master. Their master is killed. Their master has to now befriends this other person, and
Yeah.
it's trope heavy. It's
Mm.
beautifully animated.
Oh,
It's
wonderful.
um yeah, there, here we go. Scoob's on there in the chat. Is the Ninth Jedi will have a series. Excited for the continuation of this one. So that's going to make a
Yes.
whole lot more sense as the continuing
I'd
episodes.
love to
I
hear.
feel sad that our little droid friend is spoil. I don't know. I'm going to give this. I was like sad about the thing, but this little droid, like right here in this shot, looks exactly like the one in the Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, yeah. That's true, actually. I was wondering, I felt like I'd seen him very, very recently somewhere, and I couldn't remember where, but that must be it. Even down to the way he's animated and the way he moves and the
Yeah,
panels moving and stuff. Yeah, it does very much look like a 1960s alternative retro future sci-fi, and that's exactly what the Fantastic Four
yeah.
film
And
is all about. But
this is allegedly we will get the new Visions Ninth Jedi in this year in 2026.
I think that makes sense, and I'm really glad Lucasfilm are starting to have better planning. We'll talk about why maybe another time, but to have commissioned this project and then have The Ninth Jedi kick off in Vision Season 1 and be a fan favorite and a critical favorite is great. Then to give them the chance to do a second story a few years later is also great. But I have a feeling, I mean, not that I'm anybody, but if I was in charge of Lucasfilm after Vision Season 1, I would have, after the end product, having seen the projects come to fruition, I would have said to the studio behind the Ronin and the studio behind Ninth Jedi, could you make an entire TV show?
Yeah.
And we'll put it out when we need stuff to come out on Disney Plus, or think about making a feature film and we could put it in the cinemas, because sometimes people do these things corporately out of convenience. So the way that Warner Brothers allowed the Lord of the Rings license to stay with them by making the anime film, The War of the Rohirrim,
Mm-hmm.
that was essentially made just so they could maintain the cinematic license. But the end product was pretty good. I have it high on my to watch list. It's now available for me for streaming. And I'm really excited to watch that, because it's just giving the whole universe that someone else's genius has created a chance to live another life and tell a different story. And The
Well,
Ninth
see,
Jedi is like that.
this in the search for finding out if that was going to happen again. Um, this explains more. That there's very little in Visions explained, right? They
Mhm.
don't have all of them like an opening crawl and saying this happened and then that's happened and after the empire fell then this arose, and you got to figure it out on your own. But this is giving us detail. Hopefully, the production and the detail. This is this one's going to have a more of a direct involvement from Lucasfilm, and the series is going to exploring a future set 1,000 years after the sequel trilogy. So that's when these are taking place.
Oh, is that official?
That's what the internet says.
Okay, but
What
what's the
is like
source?
and that makes this
If it's from
is
if it's from Lucasfilm or StarWars.com, I believe it. If it's from anywhere else, is my
this
response.
is
But I
in
love.
an article that includes YouTube videos from Star Wars Explained and from Star Wars itself.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm with Catherine in that we're always very skeptical of any Star Wars news we read unless
Yeah.
it comes from one of the legacy publishers that has a direct line interviewing cast and crew, like The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Deadline, Vanity Fair, or Lucasfilm, Disney, StarWars.com itself. But I always felt like this was an Old Republic story. So to me, if it's either the Old Republic or the new Republic, perfect. Because I do not want it anywhere near the saga. Keep it away from the saga. Don't
Right.
go to Tatooine. Don't go to Tatooine. No sand planets. No more sand. I'm with Anakin. No more sand.
Yeah, but that is what I'm reading and what it says. I'm trying to find anything else, but yeah. So that explains a lot of the things that are with this. Is the master has been gone for so long, and the droid's been waiting around, and here we go. So I like that, and let's move on. The bounty hunter. The bounty hunter is another one that I think, well, let's read this. A rogue bounty hunter takes a job for a shady industrialist that has unexpected consequences for her and her droid.
Yeah, this one. So after watching The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope, I felt like I needed to take a break because it
Yeah.
felt like such a long story. And I was enjoying it, but I did look to try and check the time. I looked at my watch, then I was like, oh, it's the weekend. I'm not wearing a watch.
Yeah.
Um, where's my phone? How long is this episode? Should I look up on IMDb how long each of the episodes are now? Because it feels like it's a 30-minute episode. And I think The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope's 26 minutes, but those always include credits, which is
Right.
something I have a strong beef with Disney Plus. When they release the minute time, the length of episode time, it should not include the 5 minutes of credits
No.
because that's very creatively misleading. And if you're misleading your audiences from the jump, then you're just gonna skew expectations. I remember feeling like that when we first got The Mandalorian, and anytime an episode was over 30 minutes, I think, yes, half hour of The Mandalorian show, and then we'd have 23 minutes of Din and a little bit of Baby Yoda, and then we'd have 6 amazing minutes of credits. And let's not forget, The Mandalorian does have the best TV credits of all time
It
with
does,
the
really, with
with
the
the
concept
artwork,
art.
the artwork, and then Ludwig Göransson's theme. Even the Book of Boba Fett, to its credit, has similarly amazing credits. One could argue,
The Ninth Jedi, the original one in season one, had a runtime of 21 minutes and some change.
yeah,
But volume 3 is the Child of Hope is only a 23-minute episode, 23
yeah.
minutes and 35 seconds.
It felt long to me, and maybe it's because it goes with what we were saying. The second episode, which I compared to Studio Ghibli thematically, I think that's how it felt to me. So Child of Help felt like an expansion upon that, but also recurring many of the same themes. And I think that's why it felt very long to me, because I thought we've already had a really cool girl who's a secret princess and she's on the run and she might be a Jedi and she's good and she's battling the Empire, blah, 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 blah. And we had all the same things again for Child of Hope. So that might be why it felt a little bit repetitive to me. And there was less, Jedi Sith lightsaber action. So I was a little bit disappointed with the Ninth Jedi sequel episode, but it was very clearly not the end of the story. And I'll be honest, I found Tito, really irritating initially. Did you watch
Right.
all of these Did you watch all of these in English, or did you listen to any of them in Japanese?
I don't recall. I think they were no. I'm pretty sure that I listened to all of these in English. Yeah,
It was because
whatever the default was on Disney Plus is what I did,
Yeah,
and I
okay.
think that's all of them in English.
Yeah, it is. I was trying to remember though, because when I watched Vision season 1, I remember watching them in Japanese, but
Mhm.
I don't remember in October of 2021 if I manually went and changed it from audio English to audio Japanese before I started season 1, or whether season 1, when it released, initially did start in Japanese. I feel like the Ronin episode was in Japanese when I first watched it, and I don't remember toggling the audio to change it to English. So I might have watched season 1, and season 1, we mentioned, it was a lot more compact and concise.
Season 1, I seem to recall way more Japanese and subtitles.
Yes, yeah. I think we might have all watched it, whether we intentionally changed it or not, in Japanese the first time at least, or one of the times that we've watched the whole volume of season 1. Whereas volume 3 defaulted to English. And then I loved the Ronin sequel so much, I watched it in Japanese, and I felt all the same feelings, but I do think it made some of the characters come across a little bit differently, which shows you how
that might be a new mission for me. I might have to spend the afternoon, like, Snow and Iced End, is go back and watch at least The Bounty Hunter and a couple of these in Japanese. I may need to do that.
Yeah, I'd recommend that, especially if the weather doesn't allow you to do anything else. Definitely watch Ronin in Japanese, because the vocal performances are quite different. And I mean, I've been trying to learn baby level Japanese for a little while now. So I can pick out like bits of it, even if I wasn't looking at the screen and reading anymore, thankfully. I mean, this is after a year, so hopefully some progress has been made.
Yeah, I can kind of do that in French and Spanish, but not Japanese.
Yeah. Hey, look, this is just me on my little Duolingo streak, okay?
There you go.
521 days, let's go. But the thing is, this is what I find really interesting with anime, and I always ask people who consider themselves big anime fans, anime heads, weebs, however they identify, did they watch anime first in its native language, or did they watch it subbed? Because in the UK, you pretty much always had it subbed with the American voiceover, especially like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, and then One Piece, the big ones, they were always subbed. But if you watched it illegally, you probably had it in Japanese, but subtitled. So it's a really interesting thing, because it shows you basically how entitled your friends were when they were young. Could their parents afford the Sky package or the satellite and cable? Then they could watch it in English. Did they have to watch it illegally on their cousin's PC?
Well, sometimes that doesn't always go over well. I tried to watch a movie last night. I am a big fan of cheesy disaster movies. Okay, I don't know if everybody out there knows that. Huge fan of cheesy disaster movies.
There was the best one on last night.
What's that?
Like Earthquake.
Like Earthquake, like
Towering Inferno.
Like the Towering Inferno, the Poseidon Adventure.
Volcano.
Like I have watched Dante's Peak endlessly.
We were
trying to watch a Netflix, I think it's a Netflix original, Chinese studio, but done in an English dub. It's called like Skyfire or something. It's about this island, volcanic island that turned into a theme park. The volcano erupted, it destroyed everything. They built a theme park on the island. So it's Jurassic Park, but with a volcano.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to watch that.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. My wife did not tolerate the English dub. Is because it was literally their mouths are moving and that's not what's coming out. but the movie itself, it's a classic cheesy disaster film. Like, and I appreciate all cheesy disaster, even like the new ones that have come out that have been inspired by the classics, like San Andreas. The Rock has taken to doing like all of these. I think
he did loads for about 4 years. He did
San Andreas and what was his version of the Towering Inferno? I don't even know what that was, but that was crazy. Skyscraper.
I haven't seen either of them actually, but I wouldn't mind. I think cheesy disaster movie is a specific Hollywood subgenre for sure.
Well, and it's so available on Netflix and streaming now, because not only do you get Twisters, which was like a high art concept disaster movie, really. But then you get Atomic Twister, and you get Ice NATO and Ice Twister, and Geostorm.
What? Oh, Geostorm's incredible.
And then all the Sharknadoes.
The Sharknadoes. Yeah.
Well, that's a whole other jump in the shark level of the cheesy disaster film.
Yeah, I think also the Sci-Fi Channel has its own version of the disaster movie, or like the monster movie. and Sharknado is like a weird cold fusion version of the two of them.
Yeah.
I will shout out my favorite disaster movie of all time, and it was on last night as I sat down and we watched something I haven't sat down and watched The Simpsons on TV in years, and somehow last night at around 6 p.m. we found there was like back-to-back episodes of The Simpsons from season 35, and I will talk about this just for 30 seconds because
Yeah.
it is a Disney property ultimately owned by 20th Century Studios. Firstly, The Simpsons has made a huge comeback in story writing quality. There was a time after the initial wave when like Conan O'Brien and the original 90s and early noughties writers left, where it became bottom of the barrel, basic, uninspired, kind of just, like
It
just
became
grinding.
tropish and episodic for a good while.
Yeah, just grinding episodes out because they had to, and then shoehorning in whoever was famous at the time. Oh, it's Lady Gaga, or it's Mumford and Sons. Why are they in The Simpsons? I don't know. Do they have a new album out? Oh, that makes sense. But now it's I feel like for the last 10 years, The Simpsons has actually returned to not quite the peak that it will never reach again, but it's become intelligent, satirical, timely, offering analysis of what's happening materially in the US and around the world in a really organic and unique way, the way that Simpsons first did when it came out. And I'm really happy to say that I've not seen any of the 30 and beyond season episodes properly before yesterday. We watched 4 in a row. They were all great. I mean, one in particular talked about this is crazy. It came out in 2023 and we watched the credits at the end. It actually satirized that current administration's enforcement of the borders in 2023.
Yeah, The Simpsons
crazy
is
to
one of
revisit
those
now.
shows that can crazily predict the future. I mean, they predicted President Trump long before President Trump.
There's a gang. There's an episode, the episode premiere of season 35. Homer realizes he's an idiot and no one allows him to do his job at the nuclear power plant, so he leaves because at the beginning he finds out Lenny, Carl, and even Mr. Burns all do his job because they don't trust him. And he becomes a street marshal for kids crossing to school.
Yeah.
And then the power goes to his head, and then Mayor Quimby funds them, and then they get overfunded. Then they ask for more funding. Then they militarize them to become a police force. Then they rival the police force, and then they end up fighting ICE. And I was like, what is going on?
Whoever is writing The Simpsons has a time machine.
What kind of crystal ball is that?
It really is. I don't know how that's done, but it's done.
Yeah, we couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
but it was still funny.
But your favorite cheesy disaster film?
Oh, Independence Day.
Yes,
that was on. So when we stopped The Simpsons, we flicked the channel, and it was like, we've talked about this many times. One of those films where if it's on TV, not that many people watch live TV anymore, but if it's on, you have to put it on. And you have to first try and guess where in the film it is before, it shows where it is. Yeah. And secondly, you must watch it to the end, even through adverts.
Yeah.
Independence Day was on. We watched it. It was just before they send the fighters and Will Smith and Harry Connick Jr. to in their room where they're like chit-chatting before they go fight the first time and realize everyone has shields. Good
I'm
Lord.
just anxious to get up there and whoop E.T.'s ass.
Yeah. that bravado is so funny. Oh, it's great. It's excellent. Yeah. Even the disaster scenes, like the blowing up, when we actually turned the channel on, it was showing the Empire State Building blow up from the base upward. And that's terrifyingly good. Even now, the visuals look incredible.
Well, it's because it's the retro kind of thing. Is a lot of that was done. I've seen some shows. A lot of that stuff was done practically. Is to make the explosions go sideways like that. They built a miniature set and they turned them vertically, and then you have your explosion at the bottom, and they filmed it from the top.
Oh, that's ingenious.
I know. I thought that. Just like yeah. But anyway, moving on. This is the Studio Ghibli.
No, but the one before was Studio Ghibli. This is
the
one before.
This is the one that I say is such Studio Ghibli.
Okay, this is specifically.
That is what's the character? Is it Totoro? Is that?
Yeah, this is My Neighbor Totoro.
That one.
This is My Neighbor Totoro Star Wars.
Yeah.
Specifically, yeah, I agree.
But Yuko's
it's also
treasure. What did
Baymax.
you
He's
think of
kind of
this
like
one?
Baymax.
Wait, let me read the thing first. A sheltered orphan teams with a street rat kid. How many tropes can we have? Street rat kid to rescue his droid caregiver and find a long lost treasure.
This
This
one
is
also felt like
Aladdin on the streets of Tatooine.
it also reminded me of Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
It felt like the kind of strapping kids, locked in for a wild adventure. But again, I think I started saying this and then I changed topic. Terrible ADHD. With the episode of The Ninth Jedi Child of Hope, Tito, the droid, initially really annoyed me. I couldn't stand him at all. I was like, please, I hope this droid gets dismantled on screen because I'll celebrate that. But then when he brought
grew
her,
on
when he brought her to his master, he's like, oh, he's been in the Bacta tank for decades. I've been keeping him alive. And then she's like, he's dead.
Not so much.
Yeah, I felt bad for Tito. And then when he finally was like, I'm going to sacrifice my own juices to allow you to launch the escape pod, bye-bye, I actually felt some sentimental heartstring pulling. And I was like, what is this?
That
What's
was a
going on?
very Rogue One episode. Is that
It,
really?
it was. But then I felt that here as well when I didn't feel it. But yeah, how did you first feel Yuko's treasure was going to go? Because I didn't think it would get emotional the way it did.
No, I thought it was going to be cutesy Pokemon-y.
That's exactly what my dad said. My dad was like, this is Pokemon in Star Wars.
That's what I thought we were going for. That's what I
yeah.
thought we were going to get. Is I thought this dude was like, a big Snorlax or something.
Yeah, and not Yuko, but Sola.
I don't remember the names. It's been a little bit since I watched this one, but yeah.
Sola, the blue-haired boy, did kind of look like Ash Ketchum a little bit. Yeah, I thought this was really fun. And again, I wasn't expecting to have any emotional connected anything or resonance with the characters because I was like, I'm not a pink-haired 8-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Why would I feel what she feels? But then, I don't know how many minutes this one was. 20 minutes later, I did feel like I had been emotionally affected in a deep way. And I was like, what's happening? Is it just because I'm unwell?
No, I mean, I think it was is these, well, even Pokemon would emotionally affect you at some point. It's like there have been in the Pokemon movies, there was like Pikachu is like all drained of energy and like it's like, what? No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Pokemon, the first movie, does have one of the most memed quotes of all time, and I think one of the best quotes in any animation, which is that I'm sure you've seen the film, but as it came out in 1999, there's a quote from Mewtwo when he finally discovers that war and fighting is bad and peace and serenity is good, where he says, I realize now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what one chooses to do with the gift of life that makes you who you are. And I think that's an incredible line. And this was the first episode where I thought the writing was outstanding. And it had a few lines where I thought, I wish I had ChatGPT on my phone to transcribe it straight away, or something, because I didn't want to pick up my phone and start typing notes on my phone like I've done when watching things, especially in like research for the show before. I wanted to just stay in the moment. But some of the lines in this one were great. And then in the next 2 episodes as well, really, really good writing from Star Wars and just in terms of film.
It's heartening. I love seeing well-written animation that does tug on your heartstrings, not just the whole thing. I mean, animation can do that. Being a child of the 80s animation, I mean, Transformers the movie, holy shit. Just like the death of Optimus Prime, like I can still tear up when you got the touch. You got the anybody. There are other people, trust me, you're too young for this, but there are other people watching that are just going, no, not you've got the touch.
I need to watch the film properly. I've not been able to see it from beginning to end in
Transformers the movie.
Yeah.
This is the epitome of taking talent and integrating it into an animated. I mean, it has Leonard Nimoy, it has Orson Welles.
Yeah,
I mean,
when I heard those voices as part of the cast, I thought, okay, I do need to add this to the list. This needs to
yeah,
go on.
to say nothing of the classics that are, Frank Welker and, the people who have been doing Transformers who are amazing. But anyway, let's move on. Like, so the
Okay.
Lost Ones.
Okay, the writers in this.
After assisting refugees escape a natural disaster, an incognito F is forced to confront the ghosts of her past when their refugee ship is intercepted by the Empire. Wow.
It's just distracting that she's called F and it's just a letter.
Yeah.
When I read that, I kind of chuckled. I was like, oh God, wait, they haven't changed her name from when she was in The Village Bride, I think.
Yeah.
I don't. But and just the phrase an incognito F. I mean, that's a Monday morning for me. Confronting the ghosts of her past and the refugee. It's very, again, kind of sounds like it's box ticking sci-fi fantasy Star Wars, but when it's executed really well and it's executed sincerely, that's when the cliches that we all know and laugh at, we remind ourselves are true for a reason. And I think this is my favorite episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I respect your opinion on that. This one is the one that I think went too far for me. It went too far out there and got too crazy for me. And I was like, this is just some Dragon Ball Z shit right here.
It was purely, I was invested in the relationship between master and apprentice. And this is definitely spoilers if you haven't seen it, but I'm not going to. I wanted to actually read lines of the dialogue from this, but I'm not going to because I want people who might not have watched Visions to actually hear it first.
Oh, Skip's got to go watch it now. You convinced him. It's like, oh no, we gotta go.
Oh, yeah, no. I wanted to know specifically two things from Skip and from Scooby, so I'll ask both in case they're both hearing me now.
Yeah.
Skip, when it was too off the wall, were you meaning specifically an episode we were referring to in Vision Season 2, or did you mean all of Volume 2, or did you mean all of Visions generally? And then secondly, Scooby, I really want to know, did you watch Visions the first time with your kids? And if you did, I'd love to know what their favorites were from Volumes 1, 2, and 3, and if they happen to match your personal favorite ones, because I always really find it interesting how everyone's got their own opinion, but when it's like you and then your parents, sometimes you love the same stuff, sometimes you hate the same stuff, and sometimes you just have the most divergent opinions possible, but it's fine because you're family and it's art.
See, my daughter doesn't care for these at all. She doesn't care for the animation, the anime cartoon Star Wars in the slightest. She enjoys Clone Wars, but not Rebels.
Really?
I know.
Is it because the animation style in Rebels is a bit different?
Might be. It might be that I don't know if she's watched enough to care and get into it, but
it took me a while to actually.
Or it might be that is. I wonder myself if it's that Rebels is too serious of a storytelling to be an animation for her. Animation should, if she feels that animation should be Bugs Bunny, it should be light, it should be.
I think Rebels for the most part has a much lighter tone than the Clone Wars, especially once you hit season 2 of the Clone Wars, and 100% once you hit season 3, episode 14 onwards. That's where we are up to, I think, more or less with Mark and Ashley in the Clone Wars.
Monday, I believe they are going to season 3, episode 14 or 15, somewhere in there. They're approaching Mortis very rapidly.
And we will be there with them, hopefully.
Indeed.
There are going to be really nice things to collaborate on. So first of all, looking forward to that and hope you guys can join us. Secondly, I think I'm with your daughter with Rebels. I really enjoyed the opening double bill when it launched on Disney XD. Do you remember Disney XD?
Oh, yes.
So yeah, there used to be a channel, but when the Disney Channel rebranded, and then there was like the more fun and slightly
Disney Channel.
Yeah. Then there was Disney XD, which was basically where they put all of Marvel and Star Wars and all the slightly more boyish, less general family and very young kid stuff, which they kept the live action shows on Disney Channel Plus one, but they kept the XD stuff for reruns of the Marvel classic 90s ones, and then also the newer ones, like what I think is the best Disney owned Spider-Man animated series is Ultimate Spider-Man. That show is excellent. The writing is top tier. It's really satirical. It's very witty. It's very fast paced. There are loads of jokes that will fly over the heads of 8-year-olds, but hit their 40-year-old parents very hard and make them laugh. It's really, really worth watching. I highly recommend it. And it does what I think the best animation does. And it reminds me of what Pixar does really well, which is on the surface, it's an animated thing for family. Sit down and enjoy it. But really, there are jokes that are aimed not just generally so that you can all enjoy. There's a joke aimed at you. Yeah, you with the popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
You with the popcorn bucket and the wallet that paid for the tickets. This joke's for you.
Skip's going like some of there were where there were good material, but just so far from Star Wars, and others are just weird from the start. And we got a couple of those coming up. Some of the weird out there ones.
Yeah,
and he's saying that they're on season 3, episode 14. So tune in tomorrow for that. The watch along on Clone Wars Revisited for season 3, episode 14.
Yeah,
but
that'll be fun.
Let's look and move at the Smuggler.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the filler ones for me, man. It's like a smuggler desperate for a quick payday agrees to take on a job to bring a wanted young prince to safety as the Empire pursues. This is one of the ones that I think is one I fell asleep through the first time that I watched it.
Ooh, that is the best compliment you can give. I did fall asleep the first time. I think this one is difficult because I think it is sandwiched between two of the most artistic episodes of the entire volume. So it's easily forgotten. The Lost One's art style is quite distinctive, but I think its artistic merits are in the writing. The explanation of the Force and what it means to be alive and be a compassionate soul in the Lost Ones in the middle of the episode, the way, I'm not going to call her F, I'll have to call her F. The female lead in the Lost Ones describes what it means to feel the Force, be a Jedi, but also what it means to just be a human. She describes it in maybe 4 or 5 lines, and those are the lines that I think should get printed and put on mugs and t-shirts. They're great. It's some of the best description in concise writing that I've ever seen for Star Wars. And then the Smuggler has the terrible job of following up directly after that, because most people will binge watch volume 3 in one go. And I definitely understand what you mean when you felt like this one was just filler. It just kind of, just flew past you. And I think it is worth rewatching if you did fall asleep through it, though.
Well, I've gone back. I've watched all of these because we've been preparing and trying to refresh our memories on these for a while since we've been going that. But so I have made it through the whole thing, and it's an okay episode, but it's still just it just doesn't feel like it's on the same level as a lot of the other ones in this series.
Really, yeah, I do agree with you. I think it's got some really good lines as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, there are redeeming parts. I mean, I like this animation style. It's very the realistic. This is almost an Akira style of the animation, the serious parts of Akira, not the parts of Akira where it goes like off the walls.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. This one actually, like that still image right here of our main character, she looks Cheetah. She looks like she could be straight out of Howl's Moving Castle or Princess Mononoke.
Yes.
I really liked the art style of the humans and their faces and the characters themselves in this one. I thought they were really, really good. It makes me almost want to look up what else because they're very prominent with the directors in the credits, and it's annoying.
Really good style, but the Buble people, Buble people,
the Buble people,
the Buble people. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, the Buble people.
That's a trope of Japanese animation, of anime, is you've
Mm.
got the juxtaposition of this is the super realistic, and then left field. Like I said, is this feels like the realistic part of Akira before it gets insane. This
Yeah.
feels like a lot of it's even a little bit more realistic and less anime, but it's like the realistic end people of Dragon Ball Z before you get the aliens and the squirrel tail people and the cover.
Yeah. This one, all right. So I thought I'd recognize the name. So the director is Masahiko Otsuka,
Mhm.
and he has been a second unit director on some of the most popular anime series of all time. Um, do you want to have a guess? This is a wild guess. I think you got like a 1 in 20 shot of getting this. He was second unit director on
Was it Princess Mononoke?
no Studio Ghibli. These are TV anime series.
Oh, okay. I don't know from where a lot of the things came in the anime.
He was on Neo Genesis Evangelion.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
Gurren Lagann, and then more recently he was on an anime that someone told me to watch years ago, Kill LA Kill, which is um, it's a young girl at school, and she finds out that she has to find out who murdered her father,
Well, the
and she's
Neon Genesis makes a whole lot of sense if you see in this image where so sharp and semi-realistic, just precise line drawing the person is with the blurred background in there is is they're using some film technique to do that, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought artistically this one looked really good as well. I did find my attention started to wax and wane a little bit.
Yeah,
But once, and it was very predictable where it was going. Um, but I think it's still a decent story. You know what's really interesting? I'm looking at the IMDb average star reviews. Not that anyone should pay attention to this really,
right.
because it could be fabricated and botted, but um, very weirdly, the highest, this is the third highest rated one in the volume.
Wow.
Sadly, that's only 7.1. I feel like someone's definitely review bombed these episodes because this is really
I
bad. Like,
don't think Visions on the whole got as many people saw it as should have and gave it a chance, because it is an out there thing. It's a different it's not
hmm,
necessarily canon, though I don't know that they've said it's not canon, but it's like an alternative take on like these things is set way far in the past or way far in the future. Some of them are set in the main Star Wars time because you have the Imperial ships and but
hmm,
they're very different takes, and that's not everybody's cup of tea. But
sure. It's just that I'm
so this
yeah,
one, the Bird of Paradise,
yeah,
beautifully artistic.
one of the most spectacular animated small projects I've ever seen in my life.
After she is blinded in battle, a hot-headed Jedi Padawan must undergo a series of spiritual trials in order to overcome the temptation of the dark side. This felt like a Monet, Manet, Seurat painting brought to life.
Yeah, it reminded me in all the best ways and exactly as you described of Sith Volume Two's first episode,
Mm,
which also had that kind of incredible visual dynamic style as well. It looked like a genuinely like someone had just magicked together a paintbrush and then all little droplets of paint, and then you can individually see them at times.
well,
It
and you can see in the
looked amazing.
characters here that it's a little bit different. I just subscribed that, but I just described it using all impressionist painters, which were largely French painters. But you can also see that this has the origins in old style classic samurai era Japanese painting, because look at the fine line and cutout nature of the person here that you're seeing. And so you've really kind of got that cherry blossom and classic person, and I like this, the visuals of this. It's a little out there, but it could be further out there, and we're about to get that in a minute. it's
Yeah, I think visually this is one of the most impactful ones, and I would ask everybody to try and watch this one on the big screen, the biggest screen that you have. Don't watch these on your phone, please. I know if that's the only way.
watching these on your phone is not.
Yeah,
It's not the best. They were made for bigger media than that.
Yeah. But yeah, it really did remind me of my favorite episode of Volume 2, which was the one by the Spanish house El Guiri. Because
and that was the one that was like the Mon Calamari dancer kind of. Was that one, or was that the French one?
That's the French one.
Oh, okay.
That's the spy dancer. No, this one is the one where there's like a former Jedi who lives by herself with a droid, and she's an artist, and she paints. There's a white wall, and she paints impressionistic color on it. And then when the Sith comes to hunt her down, suddenly it's like a contrast between white and black, light and dark. There's the whole.
Oh yeah. I totally remember what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one looked incredible, and I feel like it was also partly inspired by. I don't know exactly what the name of it is, but you know the Into the Spider-Verse style, where it kind of looks more comic booky.
Oh yeah.
That style, which has then been copied millions of times. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, an amazing animated film, uses the same style, and K-pop Demon Hunters completely stole that style. What was that?
Antonio Banderas.
They sometimes have really massive superstar performers who voice these characters in English.
Yeah.
I wonder, is it the same in Japan?
I wonder. That's a good question. Are these voice actors movie stars in Japan who are just doing it as a voice acting kind of thing? Because, but like I said, Puss in Boots is voiced by Antonio Banderas. Toy Story is Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. It's huge people.
I still feel conflicted because I'd rather have voice actors do the voices even in these biggest projects, and the regular actors can do the regular TV and film acting, because
I think some of it just depends on where they came from and what the point of it was, because the things like Transformers the movie had giant voice actors, huge movie stars, Leonard Nimoy, Orson Welles to end credit, but it's not like they recast Optimus Prime like they did in the freaking new one, which don't get me started. Okay, it's like, why did we need a Hemsworth in Transformers? We didn't. But
is that Transformers 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
we don't.
But yeah, Bird of Paradise. Okay. Here's the coup de grace, the last of the last. Black. Holy shit. Just a psychedelic, to say the least, battle between past and present, light and dark, and life and death plays out in the haunted psyche of an Imperial trooper who is on the cusp of defeat.
It's such a great concept. When I read that, I thought this would be. I read all the synopses very, very quickly before I watched any of them, and I thought this might be my favorite episode in theory.
Yes, in theory.
In reality, I was adrift from the episode and found it hard to lock back in.
Did well to place this last, because if they had put this in the middle of the series, people would have turned it off. It's not that this is bad,
but
it's just
wild.
This is wild and to be experienced in a very special and unique way. It's just like, wow.
They could put this at film festivals, though. I think people would go nuts. They'd stand up and applaud for a longer duration.
It's less. It feels less anime and more art film. And that's even after saying that we liked the last one, Bird of Paradise, for being more of a kind of an art film. But this one is, whew.
Yeah, this one This one's wild. I do need to watch it again because I actually didn't watch this one until very, very recently.
Mm.
And I was trying to fit it in before we were gonna jump on today. And because I was trying to do some other things, including get some hot beverages and peppermint tea to help with my cold, I was listening to this
Skip
Jump
is not far from the truth.
is required.
It's like you need to be in a state of mind to watch this, whether it's altered by pharmaceuticals or whether you have altered yourself, you have changed your mindset of yourself to watch this
Yeah,
naturally, which I mean you can. It's that's it,
watch this when you have insomnia.
you have to open, yeah, is that wouldn't be necessarily the worst way to do it. Is if you're watching that with you're like delirious from lack of sleep, it's gonna say different things to your brain. Is this is not something that you flip on and rewatch on a Tuesday after work. It's something to really think about and consider and go down there. And yeah, and Jim Scooby's like, not for the visually impaired. It is so the visuals are so important and out there, and you have to be able to catch little small pieces of the whole thing to experience it the right way. So yeah, I get that. And back to Scoob's other comment from your question there, Geo.
Mhm.
He watches the episode before the girls to vet any scary stuff. A excellent idea with these because you never know what you're going to get.
Mm.
And then watches to try and not lead them to their opinions. Wants to see what they think. Mostly in sync. Their love for the twins from season 1. Thought the twins was over the top. Is that twins one was a very like Yu-Gi-Oh kind of style.
Yeah, it was a Dragon Ball Z style shonen
Yeah,
teenage power boy fantasy thing.
and
Um,
most
yeah.
interesting, they tend to lean towards the visual ones, where you are the more story focused. The
Mhm.
oldest gets more into reading various books, and she's found more balance.
Mm.
Yeah, is I get that, and yeah, Skip there too. This is not what you would want to wake up to in the middle of the night. This would probably
Well, yeah,
haunt one a little bit.
it's a PTSD episode made into art, right? That's what it is.
I mean, it may not be far from the truth. I would love to know the creator's real original intent in that. Is it could be some traumatic experience that they're trying to depict. The battle
Mm.
between past and present, life and dark, life and death. Yeah, heart
Yeah.
and a haunted psyche of an Imperial trooper. That it really does sound like PTSD.
Mm.
And putting it that way makes it less of the funny saying that you should be, watching it in that altered state, and then the state that you're in is altered because of a traumatic event. It's like, ooh, that's deep right there.
Mm. It's really interesting. I remember when IMDb used to have forums, and then they shut the forums down, and so people got more vocal in the reviews because that's the only way you can express your opinion on IMDb now.
Yeah.
So this one is probably the fourth or fifth in terms of review ranking at 6.2 out of 10 from 743 reviews of
Yeah.
volume 3. But the content of the user reviews are really interesting. So you've got a couple who've done like 1 out of 10. Tries too hard. This person says, "Oh, you didn't get it. Well, maybe it just wasn't good. You have two warring souls, green and red, Empire and Rebellion. Yet you have them both as a stormtrooper. A one-armed trooper fighting himself again and again against backdrops that reference the movie. Yet the fighters and circumstances of the battle they choose to depict are wrong. Even a bad episode of Vision Season 1 I'll watch again to be back in that world, that universe. I will never watch this episode again. It was an absolute struggle to get through just once. Upon finishing it, I dislike it even more."
See, now that review makes me want to go watch it again.
Exactly.
That is like, no, it was not that bad in my memory and thinking. I want to go back and rewatch this from the vein of this description of, oh, this is PTSD. Oh, this is
Yeah,
something, and
yeah,
this
that was
is
my
what.
the PTSD thing was my interpretation of it.
Yeah.
This person, Ludwig W, wrote 10 out of 10, Avengers Assemble. This may be some of the best animation I've ever laid my eyes upon. Witnessing the end of the Empire brought to life by Japanese and international talent was out of this world. The staff of on this episode blew it out of the park with insane visuals, direction, and soundtrack. This is the kind of creative freedom every animator deserves. That makes me want to watch it again as
Oh
well.
yeah, completely.
I think this is probably the most Marmite episode, potentially.
Oh, see, there
And
you go. Skip's watching it right now as he watches us. That's the thing, Skip, is at one point in these days, we should choose something. We've discussed it. Is a unifying force watch along. It's like a deep dive of some kind of content. Find something that we can really watch along and go deep and see what kind of things there are. And this is a good candidate.
yeah, this is a really great description. This is somebody who wrote a 9 out of 10 review. And they called it Thoughts on Black and on the Season as a Whole. And it's by the Victorious V in October 2025. They've written about the previous Vision episodes, seasons, that it's unbridled creativity on modern day Star Wars, and probably the most interesting project besides Andor that Disney have made. It's not always great, but it's varied and intriguing, and having different animation styles from various Japanese studios of season 1 to diverse international season 2 makes things interesting. And with season 3 back to anime, don't let this fool you into thinking it's a monotonous season, because the term anime subsumes a litany of other styles and subgenres. We're treated to all sorts of wondrous visuals, including a return to the duel in its sequel called Payback. This person also mentions how they feel that the aesthetic might alienate people by leaning too hard onto the Kurosawa aesthetic. But in brackets, they justify saying theoretically that should not be a problem given George Lucas's indebtedness to Akira Kurosawa.
Absolutely.
Such fans will be pleased to see more Star Wars-ness in the new one. Ewoks going to battle, defunct Imperial walkers turned into a casino and cantina, a cool new multi-bladed lightsaber that would have looked quite silly had this not been the anime style. A highlight is the sequel to The Ninth Jedi and The Lost Ones, but easily best short this year is a warfare nightmare simply called Black, a surreal, impressionistic, disorientating encapsulation of wartime terror, as seen by a stormtrooper of all things. This short perfectly illustrates the heights of artistry, emotion, and maturity the franchise could continue to reach if Disney continued to permit unencumbered creativity. A universe so vast as that of Star Wars shouldn't be samey, neither in terms of presentation nor in terms of circling back to the same old characters. I get that's what the mainstream fandom wants, but I think many fans will be happy to see something like Visions, even if few of them deserve it. Oh wow!
Well, yeah. I mean, well, that's Skip's comment that I put on while you were talking about that is that there's a Star Wars for everyone, and this proves it that there is Star Wars for these people. Is I've heard too many people describe this like a psychedelic mushrooms trip, and which is kind of turned me off to the concept of that because, but then I'm like, when you understand this, maybe as the stormtroopers' trauma, this is that character played by Tamora Morrison in Obi-Wan that's just sitting on the sidewalk begging for change or whatever credits.
That would be a great cut.
That makes this different, and that makes me want to go watch this again. And Scoob saying it's like I love Visions. Just so glad that they're taking some of the episodes that resonate with folks and expanding on them, like The Ninth Jedi, just because that's really how animated Star Wars has been far better than live action in the Disney era. And you're not wrong. I mean, the Tales of have expanded on great, wonderful, amazing parts to the Star Wars universe. We've gotten Yaddle in there, played by Bryce Dallas Howard. We've gotten some of that backstory on Dooku and little things that have happened, stories about young Ahsoka and all sorts of these little tidbits and things in there, and that have filled in that animation's been amazing. And then you get all of this stuff, that you get all of the visions that just is able to take you. It feels like the EU. That's what this
Yeah.
feels like, is every artist gets to get their interpretation. It's not the mainline story where you have to be beholden to canon and you have to do this and you can't do that. This is freedom. This is Star Wars freedom for each artistic person to tell their story. And I like it. I think we need more of it. Then I'm going to stick to that right there. And even the parts that are not so much for me, they're for somebody, and that's good.
Yeah, that's fundamentally what art is about, right? That's what
Yeah.
film, movie, TV, literature, poetry, sculpture, whatever it is, architecture, music. That's what it should be. It's not. It's for you if you want it. It's not for you if you don't want it. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, I am an art teacher. I have studied many forms of art and creativity and many paintings and sculptures and things, and some of it's not for me personally, but it is for others. This, and it's the same with film and television and animation and all of these things. And just find the stuff that you like, but just kind of could we respect and not just completely shit on the stuff that we don't?
Yeah. I think that most of the fissures in Star Wars fans, definitely the ones online and things like that, have started to come together again, and there's been a lot of healing, especially after the reaction to certain things. So I think there's a lot of positivity to take forward, looking at Star Wars stuff and 2026 in general. And I think Visions offers, it's a bit cliche, but a lot of hope. A lot of hope
Yeah.
for animation, a lot of hope for art, a lot of hope for humanity, actually, because art is usually a manifestation of how people or a person, the artist, the creator, is feeling at a specific time, given their specific circumstances. And a
And
response.
I really enjoy that part. Is like I said, my favorite Visions is season 2, is seeing all the different things from all around the world. Even if I didn't love every piece of that content and every episode of it, I really appreciate seeing all the different takes on it. And that's really learning something about the world while loving Star Wars and watching Star Wars. I like it. The questions that I still want answered here, and I don't know if it ever will, how much about Star Wars did all of these people know before they made it? You know, some of them I'm sure more than others, but these studios, how much information were they given a Star Wars style guide? Like, did they open the Art of Doug Chang and then they did it? Or did they really have the the treatment, the sense of, have they watched all the movies and all the shows and all the canon and all the continuity, and do they know the thing? I want to know. For my favorite episode of this one, like I was saying, is the Song of the Four Wings. Did they know about the Hoojibs? Were those really Hoojibs? Did they go down that far down the rabbit hole, and had they seen that? You know, or did they just, is that me reading into it because I know more about the content? I don't know. I don't know if I want to know, but I want to know.
Yeah, no, I think they might have done. Do they look exactly like the ones from the Marvel comic?
No, they don't look exactly like the Marvel comics, but they're in an anime style, and the Marvel comic ones are very distinctly rabbity. So
it could coexist, or it could be,
and they're like force sensitive. Which this one turns out to,
yeah.
I don't know. I like if you want to know more about Hoojibs, by the way, if you check out our friends over at Rebel ScumCon and our friends at Skywalking Through Neverland, the Skywalkers did an amazing panel at Rebel ScumCon 2 this past summer on that very episode with our friend Jeff Caffrey is also in there, and Anna Graves. They doing like a live reading of that comic.
Oh,
Great
that sounds
panel to
cool.
check out on that, and then watch that panel, rewatch the Song of the Four Wings. Tell me if those suckers aren't, if that little deal isn't a hoojip. I think it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are past our time, but that's great. That's fine. I'm semi snowed in today, so we've got all the time in the world.
I've got a cold, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. But thanks everybody for joining in. Skip, Scoob,
Thank you. Yeah.
everybody, anybody else who's been in the chats, or anybody else who's been watching along today. It makes it so much more fun when you all are with us, when we can interact, when we get all the different opinions. So much more fun to have the show. And until next time, may the force be with you.
Always.
May the force be with you all.
There we go.
Oh, there's an amazing review I wish I'd read out, but I absolutely wouldn't because it's a bit controversial. The IMDb reviews are actual entertainment. People wanna, they're pretty, because as you can expect, there's a lot of people who are like, 1 star, I hate this, it sucks, it's shit, it's not my Star Wars. And there's people who are like, 10 out of 10, you just didn't get it, you're not intelligent enough, dude. This person I think was great. A lot of the 10 out of 10 ones though aren't insulting. One of them is entitled "Some People Just Don't Understand," but the person's very delicate in how they describe it. It's all about black. So this person says, the episode isn't as cut and dry as it seems, as it's a story about the chaos that war actually is. It portrays stormtroopers in a way most people would never have thought about. It's a story of struggle of life during war, and brings to light stormtroopers are just people too, simply soldiers just following orders, and have a desire to live even when destruction and death are all but inevitable. Don't get me wrong, it's an insane episode that feels like a bad trip. But I think that's the point, because they want to show the horrors that these troopers know these people faced every day. And although their leaders were nothing short of pure evil, they were just trying to make it back in one piece. Overall, the episode is extremely well written and thought-provoking, and I think it's worth a watch. 10 out of 10.
I did watch that War of the Rohirrim. I saw that in the theater. That was all right for something that only exists for a studio to keep the IP.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
Copies a lot of the plot beats from the Rohan storyline of the Two Towers, though.
Yeah, I remember you saying, I can't remember if we discussed it on air or not, but because you did, that's why I mentioned it early, about them doing it to keep the license, but it still being like a good project overall.
Yeah.
And I think they should just give the Ronin team or the Ninth Jedi team, the chance to do something similar. I think enough people would watch it in the cinema to make it profitable for Lucasfilm. I don't know how well the War of the Rohirrim did though. Was it a flop at the box office?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. I don't think it did great.
Yeah. I know lots of people who told me they would have watched it if, and it was always